Friction is really bad when you want your car engine to run efficiently. But friction is also really good when you want your car to stop. But friction isn't just about physics and engineering. It's about user interfaces, marketing, and so much more. Good evening, Toastmasters and guests. According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, friction is the force that resists relative motion between two bodies in contact. That's the classic definition. Motor oil helps get rid of the friction in your car engine so that it runs efficiently and doesn't wear out too quickly. Brakes work by deliberately using friction to turn the energy of motion into heat. But friction in a user interface is a related concept, and like friction in a car, it can be good or bad depending on where it is and how it affects everything around it. A user interface is how you use something. It commonly refers to computers, but it really applies to almost any tool or action. But I am a geek, so I will mostly talk about how this relates to computers. In general, computer software, and in some respects hardware as well, should be designed to have the least amount of friction possible. A classic example is buy now on Amazon or other e-commerce websites. The idea is to make the purchasing process as effortless, intuitive, and fast as possible to minimize the friction. Large web merchants such as Amazon spend a lot of time and effort and money figuring out how to speed up web page displays and minimize the number of clicks needed to buy. Because with every second of delay, you lose customers, and every extra click, you lose customers. The end of the buying process can be friction-free as well. Packages delivered to your door the next day, or sometimes even sooner, instead of having to go somewhere to pick up your purchase. On the other hand, there are systems where a little friction, or sometimes a lot of friction, is a good thing. Classic example is a little kid buying a tractor online. Sometimes single-click ordering is a bit too easy. But for a more serious example, the movie War Games, the extra effort required, two people turning keys at the same time to fire nuclear missiles, is deliberate friction. You don't want that process to be done casually or on a whim. Of course, most situations aren't as serious as nuclear war, and most accidental purchases aren't that expensive and can usually be canceled easily. If we move off of the direct computer user interface, some interesting twists show up in the friction of different media. For example, on a radio advertisement, a phone number will often be repeated multiple times. 1877 cars for kids, as an example stuck in my head and maybe yours from hearing it repeated many, many times. But once a phone number or a website domain is stuck in your head, actually calling the number or visiting the website becomes very easy. But if you have to start by Googling the company name, that's a high level of friction that will affect how many people will ultimately do business with your company. Printed items bring another level of friction. You can't use a buy now or click here message on a printed page. You can't click. It just doesn't work. Or on a billboard. The user has to figure out the website address, go to the website, and then find the product. QR codes, while not my favorite thing, are a way of easing that friction. Just point and click with your phone to take a picture of the code, and you are magically, and with very little friction, transported to the desired destination. The concept of friction can apply in many other ways as well. Perhaps the Motor Vehicle Administration is one of the best examples. The friction caused by long lines and unfriendly clerks and complicated paperwork has led to the sloth image of the MVA pretty much everywhere. Yet, the Maryland State MVA has managed to turn this around in the past few years, ironically, in part thanks to the pandemic. They had no choice but to move to an appointment-based system for most services for a few years. That cut down on the lines. Then they gradually moved more and more services to online systems, removing the need to even see an employee for many services. The last time I went to the MVA, I made the appointment online, received a message to sign in on my phone when I got to the MVA. I did that, and within 30 seconds, before I even had a chance to sit down, my number was called to see a clerk for my scheduled appointment. My view of the MVA has changed from the ultimate in friction to a virtually frictionless service. Friction is usually bad, but sometimes it's good. Managing the various types of friction can be as much of an art as a science, and it applies to all aspects of our lives, from cars to computers to nuclear weapons. Figuring out just the right amount of friction, sometimes a challenge, but the results speak for themselves. Just look at Amazon. Back to you, Toastmaster of the